General, welcome to my guide showing you all the secondary targets inside of the Cayo Perico heist. Starting off with the cameras inside of the compound, which you can access by opening up your phone and then going to the Sightseer app in the bottom right of your phone. If you do so, you will access all the cameras and you can start spooking around the compound to find what you need. The basement will always be where your primary target will spawn and you will not find any secondary targets there. In the basement storage, you will have 2 spots for random loot and 2 for paintings. And when I say random loot, I mean that it could be either cash or gold. In Office Cam 1, you can find 1 painting. In Office Cam 2, you can also find 1 painting. In West Storage Cam 1, you can find 1 painting and 1 piece of random loot. In West Storage Cam 2, you can find 1 piece of random loot. In North Storage Cam 1, you can find 1 painting and 1 random piece of loot. In North Storage Cam 2, you can find 1 piece of random loot. In Southgate Cam 1, you can find 1 piece of random loot. And the last one is the Southgate Cam 2, where you can find 1 painting and 1 random piece of loot. For this one, you definitely want to make sure to make your camera go all the way to the right, or else you will definitely miss this one. Moving on to the airfield, where you can find this hangar opposite of the pilot that brings you back to Los Santos. In between these 2 red doors, you can just sneak between, and at the far end of the hangar, you can find 2 secondary loot targets. There's another secondary target hidden as well, which you can find by either going to the ladder on the right here, or you can decide to use the forklift. Either way will get you up there. Now, while I'm showing off all the island secondary targets, which are pretty obvious by just looking at the footage really, I want to touch on a couple of things while you're watching the footage and potentially have some questions too. On the island itself, you will find 3 different types of targets. Now, I apologize in advance for the naming of these because demonetization. These are baking soda, gardening equipment, and also cash. Only in the compound is where you're going to find paintings and gold. All these secondary targets can be stolen during the finale. Now, I don't have much knowledge about the finale yet, so I want to just focus on the secondary targets and the locations of them inside of this guide. If you want to have more information about the finale and all that stuff, then check the eye in the top right of the screen for a playlist for all the Cayo Perico guides and videos I have done. And if you're watching this somewhat later after the upload, there's a good chance that the guide for that is already up there. Going back to secondary targets and the locations of them on the island, you can see in the footage as well that there is some moments where I'm basically showing you empty tables, which is true that still is going to be a secondary target location. However, even when you're looking on the footage, you're going to see me get cash on a certain table, but for you, this might actually be gardening equipment or baking soda. For that reason, I want to make something very clear. These locations are set locations, but the loot that you get is always randomized. So if you see me getting cash in my footage while you're getting baking soda, then please do not get confused. Again, it is always randomized, so don't be afraid that you're missing out or doing something wrong. Empty tables are also something that can be quite common. In the footage you're going to be seeing, for example, 3 tables in a row with nothing on them. But it is also very much possible that you have 2 tables next to each other, with one of them having baking soda on there and the other will have nothing. And this will further prove the point that this is going to be completely random and you won't always find the same loot in the same location. Another good tip I can give you to find these secondary targets easier if you're struggling to do so is behind fences or inside of the wooden hut like I've been showing off. You will always find it locked away with something that likely you're going to need the bolt cutter for. But more on all that stuff in the finale video that I'm planning to do in a couple of days. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel for that one, or just check the playlist in the eye in the top right of the screen that I mentioned before. And one final thing that is incredibly important for you to remember, that if you have two different targets on two different tables, that you make sure that you take an individual picture of both of the tables. Even with 3 tables, it doesn't matter. Every single table needs its own separate picture. If you try to take a picture of 2 tables within the same frame, it will simply only count one of them. So make sure to take a picture of every single table before you move on to your next secondary target. Other than that, the footage does speak for itself, so I'm going to leave you with that, with some tunes in the background. If you want to see more Cayo Perico heist guides and much more, then make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave it a like if you enjoyed it or found it useful. And if you really like what you saw, consider becoming a member like all the other fellow members on screen. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.